Hey folks, and welcome to the Pipnotic Symposium for the 28th of May 2020. I'm not using my headset today because when I plug it in I get an enormous amount of feedback, and so I'm going to try without because it's horrible. The sound is dreadful, so I want to avoid that during this one. Okay, so without my headphone, without my mic, let's give this a shot. And so I want to first of all run through a couple of trades that some of you may also be aware of. I'm going to use a histogram to scan everything. All right, so we are going to put this on the default setting. So we have mean periods 500, modifier 2.0. Then I'm going to scan all time frames between the monthly and the hourly. Okay, then I'm going to take that and I am going to let it run. The scan is finished, so I'm just going to turn everything off here. Then we're going to have a look at what we have in the window here. So first of all, let's have a look at these smaller time frame ones. So we have the euro, Japanese yen. So I'm going to have a look at that here. We'll drag it over. This is an interesting one because we have indeed reached positive variant territory. So we are looking to maybe accumulate some price lower. And also notice as well that this happened at the beginning of a sell zone. So we had this area of supply that was drawn by the software. We actually had two nested, price left, the slingshot was pulled back, and then we went down, we moved lower. So price is just returning to that area at a nice positive variance. So there's a really nice overlap here, which I think is quite interesting. One thing that I think is also interesting is some of the other levels are a little bit higher up. So, I mean, for this trade here, I mean, assuming that you would have got in at the bottom of it here and you would have got out at the top, I mean, you would be up at about a 1-to-1 right now. And price is still kind of figuring out what it wants to do. But if you look further up, if you focus on this entire move, we do have this area here, okay, which I think is interesting. And this is interesting because, I mean, price came up to this area before we tested it, went up, and we came down. You can see the red candles here, and we came back up to this area here where the white dotted line is. Then we gapped down, and price has not been back there since. I really like the way that price departed from that area, which is why I moved my entry up above this area here. So I'm looking now to sell from this point here because I think it'll be an interesting short-term trade. Okay, but one thing you need to be aware of when you look at when we're taking trades on the smaller time frames is where we are on the bigger time frames. And notice that we are actually poking into this orange box. And what's an orange box? Well, that is weekly supply or demand. So price has just entered a buy zone. We poked into that buy zone, and now we are starting to move away. And so it's just telling us that we have enormous flows moving into the euro and out of the Swiss franc. And this is on the daily chart. I mean, this happened at a negative variant, and you can see we took a trade at this area here, which is where price poked through, and now price is moving away. So we want to be a little bit careful managing trades like this one because there is a likelihood that price is going to continue moving higher and stop us out. So you can take these trades, but you want to be in front of the screen to keep an eye on them while they work out, because these are not trades that you can just set and forget. They are typically trades that are going to give you quicker profits, and so you want to get in and you want to get out. Okay, so these aren't trades that you can leave alone. So I'll be a little bit careful with that one. Another one, and you guys are probably looking at this thinking, wow, well, we actually have another level that looks pretty yummy, and we would certainly be right in saying so. And we do actually. We have an origin, which is here. We have another origin, which is here. We have another origin, which is here. The other origin, which is here. So we can connect these origins, and we can find these major swings. So from here to here, from here to here, and from here down to here. Well, notice here that when price left this one, we formed a delicious area of supply. And the sell zone is right here, just below that dotted line. This is a sell zone because when Price left, the slingshot was pulled back, and then we left. That's a really interesting area that we could consider to sell at there. If you can understand my thought process. We could also, if we want to take the HOMS a little bit higher, then that would maybe line up with some kind of a positive variant in the future once price returns to that level. Okay, so I really like this area up here as well, and this is also a spot where price has not been back to. That might be another area that we could look to watch out, and also that would give price plenty of room to kind of burn off some of that momentum that it received when poking into this area of weekly demand. Okay, good. We'll leave that in right where it is, and then we're going to have a look at the Euro Swiss franc. See, the Euro Swiss franc is not a trade that I'm going to sell because on the weekly chart, we are reacting at weekly and monthly demand. So price came down. We're starting to wriggle higher from here, and we actually bought this further down. We actually bought it in here during this period of accumulation just here, and price broke up. And now we're starting to compromise the structure of the market. We had a downward sloping trend line. We're trading above it on the back side of it. And so I'd be a little bit careful about selling for the time being. And looking at this, there's nothing here that's too terribly pretty. We do have this up here, but there's a lot of trading in and around this area. And as a matter of fact, I'm not too keen on selling this pair until we get much higher. And when I say much higher, I mean much higher. And I'd be keen on selling here, and I'd also be keen on selling here and here. But there's nothing in here that makes me feel terribly comfortable about selling. So there may be going to be some shorter term intraday opportunities, both up and down. You can do this using the histogram. But for longer term, I'd be a little bit careful because we don't really have a whole lot of supply into a much higher. Okay, good. So let's have a look at the Aussie dollar, Singaporean dollar. I'll drag that on over there. And we're not going to bother looking at these monthly because they're way too much into the future. So I'm just going to close this window now. And notice here, this is a daily one. And actually, I'll just do this. You can see that we're poking up into this positive territory. And where is this happening? Well, this is happening at an area of supply. From here to here, price tested it, so the area of supply starts at the high of this one here, and this is exactly where price is testing currently at a positive currency area. That's an interesting trade setup there, so we could certainly watch that and see what happens. We might have a little reaction. We also have another nice one which is further up. I like this one a lot. Very nice area. This is still quite far above price. We do have a couple of areas in here. I also like this one here. So this could also be an interesting area for price to react at, as we'd be reaching much greater positive variance, which would which could attract a lot of selling. Okay, so we have a lot of stuff here and here, and currently we're acting at this. There are a few different options that we could focus on. We'll have to just wait and see. But I'm going to cut this video short now because I don't know what the sound is like, and I don't want to ramble on for half an hour if I don't know if the sound is good. So I'll cut this off, and I'll try and find a solution. Maybe I need to get a piece of wire, put it inside my computer, tie it to a nail, and then put the nail in the ground outside of the source so I have some kind of a ground. Because essentially the static feedback that I was hearing was a result of there not being a ground connection anywhere. So I might have to do something radical like physically add a ground to my computer. Good, so I'll leave it at this for now. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please add them to the video or drop them in the Discord channel. Thanks for watching.